Alright, what's good, everyone? So, this will probably be one of the only times I make a response to a comment section. And I'm gonna add, to go through these points, I'm actually going to be swapping back and forth between Minecraft and the actual YouTube page. Mainly because I'm not trying to go through a bunch of video editing shit to figure it all out. But essentially what we've got is I got a comment, right? Got a comment on my idubbz video, and granted there is valid criticism there, but there's also a bit that I personally disagree with, and I'm going to attempt to clear the fuck up, clear the fucking air type shit. So, alright, this is gonna be the most chaotic way to go about shit, but here we are, right? So, pause this, if you will, if you want. It's up to you. Mainly because I don't feel like doing it. As soon as I swap off, I'm gonna have the same thing pulled up on my phone. So if you want to screenshot this to make sure I'm not missing shit or whatever, there you go. I also made sure to hide this person's name. Good luck finding their profile based off the picture. I don't think there is none. So, without further ado, I want to get into this. Alright, so, the first paragraph, outside of him saying he disagrees and shit, is basically him saying, the whole beef is about the child services being called on H3 and a CPS agent going to their school and home, and even wanting to go to the kid's school, to then talking about how, I mean, like, I don't even want to read this word for word. There's so many grammatical errors in this. It's not even funny. To a point where I kind of had trouble reading it. Even the day I responded, I skimmed it because of that. But, essentially, TLDR, he's basically saying the whole beef is about the fact that child services got called, everyone not saying anything about it, and that's how this whole thing started. Well, personally, I feel like it started longer ago than that. Because, if I remember correctly, Ethan brought up being doxxed and swatted. Even having shit go as far as he was worried that a gun was going to be pointed in the faces of not only his wife, but his children. I might be mistaken on that. I might have gotten the wrong impression from what he said via that. However, again, I'm gonna break this down for you. You have a group of YouTubers that do not agree with each other in a very, very hot climate. Alright? They are, at this point, getting more or less. You have political streamers that Ethan is associated with, as well as people who are on a very specific side of the political spectrum. Now, I'll be fucking honest. I do not support any sort of political streamers, left or right. I stay the fuck out of that type of shit for good reason, and this is why. So, that first paragraph is him giving him or her or whatever is giving their take on that, right? In my mind, there's a lot more to it than child services got called on to Ethan. Ethan's mad because nobody stood up to defend him that were supposedly his friends. And from there on, they started making shots back and forth at each other. There's more to it than that. It's a bit more nuanced than Ethan's mad that child services got called and nobody said anything to defend him. Which in my mind, again, there's more to reference this in the video, but in my mind, there's shit he could have done to prevent child services from being called in the first place. Alright. Now we start getting into what I would consider the more kind of shit, right? So, what ends up happening is, he goes, so by watching the video, I got the understanding that you might not be a fan of H3 as much as you've been a fan of idubbz. So, I'm gonna put a correction on that, because I watched idubbz a lot, and I also watched H3 as much as I could. I never watched podcasts, and I still don't, for very specific reason. Most podcasts, if not everyone that I've ever come across, doesn't manage to keep my attention as well as an edited video. Hence why watch times, even for me, are low. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to sit here and listen to an unedited rant from some fucking dumbass from buttfuck nowhere, basically. Alright? So right then and there, my big thing with idubbz and Ethan was I watched their content because at one point I found their jokes to be funny and in my realm of comedy. Now, my realm of comedy, to give you an example, is South Park. Early South Park are some of my favorite episodes because of how blatantly offensive they were. Okay? I love dark humor. Okay? That's me. And I loved it when idubbz had that same dark humor as well as H3. So, I wouldn't say I was a fan of one or the other more, because the reality was, it was pretty spread, it was pretty equally spread across them both. Once they both started to fall off, I stopped giving a shit. I stopped caring. Their videos weren't as funny to me, and I just stopped watching them. Simple as that. He goes on to say, but at least you realize the flaw of his content cop and how much it sucked. But to be fair, why did idubbz not mention the CPS thing once? I think you can see at one point in one thumbnail the 3 letters were there for a few seconds, but that's kinda like talking about the atomic bomb being dropped on Japan and how evil and horrendous this was by the US without mentioning the context of the Second World War and the border context. So, let me break this down for you, and let me kind of explain why that is, that's a wild fucking comparison. First off, dude, seriously. You're comparing the feud between YouTubers to World War fucking II. Okay? Again, World War II, way different than this. Alright? World War II had, especially those atomic bombs, had millions of fucking deaths, okay? There's so many nuanced takes you could take about that. Bottom line is, that shit happened. But to me, it's more like the fact that CPS has been brought up to death the moment it happened. I don't think idubbz probably felt the need to bring it up. I don't fucking know. I'm not Ian, okay? To be fair, it could have been a way for him to manipulate shit to his favor. Alright? But you'll see why it really is irrelevant to me later on, okay? Then the commenter goes to talk about, before the CPS beef, Ethan and Hassan fell out, and this whole thing of attacking Ethan via the children is disgusting, manipulative shit, not the other way around. This is where I brought up a lot of these shit earlier. So, let me give you a little example on this, okay? So, is attacking Ethan with the children disgusting and manipulative? Yes, very much so. It's a very fucked up thing to do to somebody. However, this is not just your simple case of those two had a falling out and he just started attacking the kids. Okay? They fell out, and they fell out of touch with each other. However, I'm pretty fucking sure Hassan isn't the one attacking his kids directly. Alright, I don't have any proof. However, I don't think someone like Hassan Piker, who has better shit to fucking do with his life, is the one attacking the kids. Alright? I think, realistically, what's going on, okay, is some crazy motherfucker that follows Hassan and is a fucking crazy fan of Hassan went out and did it. Or it could have been denims. It could have been multiple fucking people. To this day, I don't even know who the fuck did it. I don't think anybody knows who the fuck did it. Alright? Like, I remember at one point someone said Asmon Gold or something like that fucking claimed to have done it. And I saw a video of some fucking scrawny ass fucking neckbeard looking motherfucker saying he did it. Can we take that at face value? No. No, we can't. So, again, until there's an actual case that proves who fucking did it and did it wrongfully, which I can guarantee you there will not be. It's up in the air, dude. And he goes, Hassan didn't even watch the nuke to this day. Is this childish or not? So, if he hadn't watched that content nuke on himself, why are you trying to sit there and say he's attacking Ethan via his children? Like, for one, you didn't give me proof of that. All I have is you saying that that's what he's doing. Second, this is not the case of just simple, oh, he's attacking Ethan. You just brought up if he didn't watch the content nuke until the day you're claiming to have written this post or whatever, I don't know. So, before you decide to go out and try to criticize me for shit that you think I did improperly, make sure you have your shit properly lined up. Because otherwise, you're not making a point to disprove anything I'm saying. You're just saying the opposite of what you think I feel. If that makes any sense. I can sit back and I can post this video, but I'm not going to post this video expecting people not to criticize me. Alright? And you'll see where the actual criticism comes into play at the end of this. Alright? He just has to sit down and watch the thing and address it point by point, just as Ethan did with the content cop the moment it dropped. So this whole child services shit is partially Hassan and Denim's fault, and that is what Ethan tried to point out to idubbz. How is it partially their fault? That's what I'm going to come out and say. How can you claim it's on any of it's on them? Okay? Because, again, it's not like a YouTuber's opinions directly caused this to happen. Because I can tell you right now, there's people prior to all of this shit that have hated Ethan and Gila for years. So how do you know that they didn't just utilize the drama to basically be like, oh, well, this is the straw that broke the camel's back type shit? You don't know. And that's where I'm trying to come at with this, right? He then goes to say idubbz owned himself multiple times in his own video, like, the silence does mean something, saying that's the point they made. So this is where I'm going to come back and say this, because, for one, this whole comment is worded very oddly for me. I like everything kind of chronologically, that's just how I am, so for me, it's like, kind of going back and forth, pulling from this, that, and this and that, and this. However, it's as simple as when you see somebody that's in a very bad position, right? They're in a spot where shit's happening to them because of insane people on the internet. Knowing you're involved with that same group of people that are supposedly causing this incident, I'm not gonna risk my neck to defend that person, knowing full well it could end up on me. And that's exactly the point I made, not only in the idubbz video, when I made the video about his content cop, but the same fucking point was made when I talked about how stupid the entire beef is as a fucking whole after watching Ethan's response to the shit. Because the child services thing, that's what keeps getting brought up, right? Not him getting doxxed, not him getting swatted, the child services thing. Okay? Because you can sit there and be like, okay, the dox affects you directly. Now people know where he lives. Right? That's what probably led to him getting swatted. But when you go to the point of child services, that's when things gets hairy. That's how, at that point, people know that he's put that much of his life out on the internet. Alright? There's a certain reason why I've seen a lot of people on the internet, and especially YouTube, go as far to hide their identities as to pay thousands of dollars for VTuber avatars. Because it's safer for them. All you have to go on at that point is basically a voice. And even then, that voice is probably heavily altered. Okay? I'm a little more brave in the fact that I posted my name is where I'm originally from, right? I'm from Florida. Okay? Good luck finding me. Good luck finding me in Florida, but aside from that, most people don't want their face all over the internet. Most people don't want to sit there and act as if everything's okay when it's not. Alright? Ethan put his life on the internet. People are going to use that against him. Right? That would be like if I posted about a huge-ass breakup, and then somebody that wanted to get to me and drive a knife deep into my heart and into my emotions decided, oh, well, let's just talk about that breakup of yours. That's kind of what's going on. Alright? People are using his kids to get to him, and that's really fucked. Yes, it is very fucked to be doing that. But the other point I have with it is, at the same time, Ethan continues to press it. And if you're going to continue to press an issue like that, you're putting the kids at more risk. These people already know he has 3 children of certain ages, and now those ages have been confirmed because he fucking said them on a podcast. Now people know this information. Now this information can be used against him by very shitty people. And this is where, this little part's gonna come into play, the Minecraft, the Schedule 1 and shit, blah, 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 blah. Because he then says, I don't understand how you can sit there, play your game, and say it's Ethan's own fault, because he's attacking streamers, and of course their communities will attack. Here's how I can say it is his own fault, and I can kind of give you a nice little rationalization to prove it. So, okay, let's say, well, let's look at what Elon Musk has been doing, right? That same mentality I had, a lot of people applied to Musk. Musk did something reasonably offensive to people, right? He did a very bad movement with his hand, and everybody got pissed at him. And the justification for their actions of burning Teslas, destroying people's Teslas, all sorts of shit, stemmed from that action. When you do stuff that you know can irritate people, you need to be prepared for reactions. The further down your actions go, the more and more at risk you are of an extreme attack. Alright? That's how I can sit there play my game and say that shit. Because what Ethan did was put himself into a spot where it could be utilized against him. And I'm one of those people that believes wholeheartedly most shit won't just fade away. The world doesn't work like that. Okay? And in this case, Ethan should have fucking known that when you're talking about someone like Hassan Piker, who is on a more extreme end of the political spectrum, he's probably going to have some really crazy people in his audience following him, basically meat riding the motherfucker till the day's end. Alright? And the reality of it is, when you're dealing with people on the internet, the way I like to put it is, the internet's basically the Wild West of Gen Z. There is very little you can actively do to prevent, somebody from going insane. Very little. Alright? But there's more to this, right? How many times did Ethan mention to viewers to not go to these people and attack them? And this is, again, if you need to, go back and look at this, because this is his words, or her words, not mine. Yada yada yada. This whole thing is dumb, and feels like someone is saying that the R-worded woman deserved it because she was wearing revealing clothing. So now you're, and I'm a pull some really janky shit here by saying this. Now you're comparing something as heavy as a woman having someone force themselves on her to Ethan having child services called on him. I'm gonna break this one down for you. Because, I'm sure you can agree, where you cannot, in any way, shape, or form, have any sort of preparation for somebody trying to force themselves on you, outfit regardless. This is something Ethan could have thought to himself about. Said, if I release this video, basically stating his opinions on Hassan, that it would open the door for Hassan and his fans to have something to say. Okay? And by bringing up the whole how many times did Ethan say not to go harass people? How many times have YouTubers in the past had problems with people still doing that after that being said? Okay, that's... like, it boils down to, I can control what I do. I can't control what other people do. Okay? I, as a person, can sit back and decide to say, don't attack this person because you don't like what they're doing. But that doesn't mean the people that view my video are going to be rational enough in their own fucking heads to not go and do it. Okay? You cannot expect people on the fucking internet, okay, the fucking internet, to not do anything just because you said not to. Alright? How many times have we seen, straight up, people who are big fans of certain YouTubers go off the fucking rails and attack people, despite the YouTuber saying, please don't fucking do that? I'm gonna be real, dude. It's just common sense in my head. Alright? You can't expect every person that follows you to actively do what you say. We don't live in a world where everything is that easy. It's just not the case. And I'm not even done, dude. I think there's still a whole half a paragraph. Alright? Then going to say it's just shifting the blame on the people who got hurt and feels to me like some Hassan shit would be spewing out of his garbage mouth. Then going on to say he's a fringe leftist, but Hassan is just a tanky, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to finish that. I'm not being accused of saying that. But, okay, this is where I'm going to say, you're clearly a fan of H3's. You clearly like what he puts out. You clearly like his content. That is your preference. That's what you enjoy. I'm not going to denounce it. I'm not going to argue with you on that. But to sit there and try to make a comparison that I'm acting like a YouTuber that I have never seen a fucking video of in my life, and I'm pretty sure I actively said I don't like people like him that make content the way he does. It's not my thing. I don't consume it. I don't watch it. I don't side with it. Makes me feel like you're just trying to grasp at straws so that you have an actual point to stand on, rather than actively trying to come up with some real coherent argument. Alright? I'm not going to sit here and debate politics. I'm not going to sit here and debate anything that's not a part of this. But, dude, first off, when you're making points, be a little more coherent, okay? When you're trying to do an argumentative essay, and you're trying to have, you know, real opinionative, you're trying to prove your opinion correct, you need to be able to back yourself up. Alright? In my videos, all I fucking gave a fuck about was literally just giving my take on shit. You're trying to criticize what I'm saying. Alright? So in my mind, first off, again, please work on that grammar. Because, Jesus, dude, there's quite a few mistakes in that. But outside of that, you're grasping at straws. You're comparing apples to oranges half the time you're making any sort of a comparison. And on top of it, I mean, you're kind of just meat riding Ethan. That's really what's going down here. Because in my mind, Ethan is liable for his own personal actions. Ethan could have easily saw the doxing and the fucking swatting as a means to maybe go, okay, let me back off. Let me regroup, let this fizzle out. Because at the end of the day, arguing with somebody that is as insane as them being the people who called child services, or trying to make arguments with those people, is gonna go nowhere. Alright? They already proved they're insane enough to do that sort of action. What about that to you says you have the ability to prove yourself right to these people? It doesn't work. I mean, it really doesn't work. Now, to take it all back to the actual criticism in this, he brings up my volume levels. Brings up the volume levels. That's all it is. Alright? That's the only real criticism in this. Otherwise, you're just basically giving your own take on shit, and it's a very black and white take. And this is coming from someone who was legitimately diagnosed with autism. Okay? You're being very black and white about a situation that isn't as black and white as you think. So, you know, maybe next time, put a little more thought into what you're going to say, because you didn't really say anything. You just kind of gave your own opinionated take on shit. I'm not trying to change anybody's mind with the shit I'm saying. All I'm saying is this shit's entirely fucking stupid to me. Okay. But, thank you for the extra content. Thank you for me being able to make another, yet shameless video to get more fucking views. So, I hope you enjoyed fueling my own little career for a bit, because you saying you're not subscribing, cool. But if you're gonna criticize, have actual criticism. Because again, most of the points I made in those videos were Ethan's kind of touting himself. idubbz doesn't know what the fuck he's going on about and is pissy because someone else got pissy. And you're over here trying to say, well, I need to think, I need to look at shit. No, I don't. Because realistically, this is the fucking internet. This is the place where people put on a whole new persona and act completely fucking different because there's nobody to call them out on it. Okay? The reason that person is still anonymous to this day is because of the fact, one, what they did is a crime. Okay? Calling child services, falsely accusing people of shit like that is a crime. You can get arrested for that. I'm pretty sure. Okay? I'm pretty sure it falls under the false use of emergency services. I might be wrong on that. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty certain you can actually get into legal trouble. 2, this isn't a simple matter. Okay? You can't just sit there and say, oh, all this started because someone called child services and nobody defended him. Well, why would somebody call child services on Ethan? Okay? I don't know anybody in my life, and I'm including the real crazy people I've met throughout my life, that would call child services on somebody else simply for their own shits and giggles, dude. It doesn't... I've never seen that. Okay? I've seen people do it with cops, but I've never seen someone go to child services to do that shit. Alright? And even then, it rarely happens with cops, because most cops are gonna look at you, assess the situation, and probably say, if you do this again, we're arresting you, not them. Alright? Cops usually only get called when people are actively feeling threatened. It's very rare a Karen does it. Alright, and this, again, comes from somebody who got into a little phase of watching body cam footage videos. But, you know, it is what it is. I can't control the internet, man. But, you know, again, thank you for the extra content. It's pretty nice to know that, you know, people like to feed me shit out of their own ignorance or whatever. And, yeah. That's pretty much all I gotta say on this. Hope y'all enjoyed. Blah, 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 blah. Like, subscribe, whatever the fuck. I don't give a shit. Insert outro here.